Imagine a being who draws his power not from himself, but from the very stars that burn across the galaxy. That being is Superman. The yellow sun of Earth has made him nearly invincible, granting him strength beyond measure, speed faster than sound, vision that pierces walls, and the ability to soar into the skies. But here's the question that chills even the most devoted fans of the Man of Steel. What happens when he leaves Earth? What happens when Superman sets foot on a planet that does not share the same yellow sun, oxygen-rich atmosphere, or familiar gravity? Before we dive into the strange and terrifying alien worlds, we need to understand the science of his survival. Superman's body is not human. It is Kryptonian. Every cell in his body functions like a living solar battery, absorbing radiation from a yellow sun and converting it into raw power. On Earth, this turns him into a god among men. But not all stars are the same. Not all atmospheres are breathable. And not all worlds welcome life. Take the red sun, for example, the kind that shone over Krypton itself. Under a red sun, Superman's body loses its constant charge. His powers drain away until he is no more than a man, vulnerable to pain, hunger, and exhaustion. On such planets, his survival depends not on strength but on skill, cunning, and endurance. But it's not just the color of the sun. The very air he breathes shapes his survival. On Earth, Superman breathes oxygen, but not because he needs it as humans do. His Kryptonian physiology adapts, letting him survive in deep space without breathing at all. Yet on some alien planets, the problem isn't the lack of oxygen. It's the presence of toxic gases, radioactive dust, or atmospheres so thick they crush steel. Even Superman's lungs, adaptable as they are, cannot neutralize every element in the universe. Then there's gravity. Imagine a planet 10 times Earth's size. Gravity there would pull down with unimaginable force. Even Superman might feel its weight, his leaps shortened, his flight strained. Yes, his strength could resist it, but the constant pressure could wear on him, draining his stamina like a slow poison. And yet, here's the twist, on smaller worlds the opposite would be true. With weaker gravity, Superman's leaps would become titanic, his speed unbound, his power magnified to almost uncontrollable levels. He would be less a hero and more a force of nature, struggling not just to save lives but to avoid destroying everything around him. But the strangest factor of all is the star itself. Because while a yellow sun empowers him, and a red sun strips him, other stars bring stranger consequences. Under a blue sun, Superman becomes something far beyond himself. His powers surge to new heights, his body capable of impossible feats, like creating new Kryptonian life or manipulating energy on a godlike scale. But with that power comes instability. The stronger he becomes, the harder it is to remain in control. So can Superman survive on alien planets? The answer is both yes and no. His body is designed for adaptation. His cells are a fortress, his will unbreakable. But survival is not the same as thriving. On some worlds, he would live like a god. On others, he would struggle like a man. And this brings us to the darker truth. Not all planets are kind. There are worlds in the galaxy so hostile, so merciless, that even Superman's Kryptonian physiology would be tested to its very limits. That's where our story leads next, into the worlds that break him. Because even gods can stumble, and even Superman can fall. Superman is often seen as unstoppable. A man who can stand against gods, monsters, and armies, and still rise unbroken. But take him far from Earth, take him to the wrong planet, and suddenly even the Man of Steel begins to bend. Let's start with a place that should feel like home, a red sun world. Imagine Superman stepping onto a planet bathed in crimson light, its star burning weaker, older, colder than Earth's sun. Here, his powers don't just fade, they drain. The strength in his muscles weakens with every passing hour. His vision dulls. His flight sputters. Soon he's just a man. On a world with no oxygen, no allies, no protection, being just a man means death. He would have to build shelter, hunt for food, and endure an alien wilderness where predators aren't lions or tigers, but creatures that can level mountains. Without powers, could Clark Kent, the farm boy from Kansas, survive? Maybe. But Superman? Superman would be gone. Now, picture a different nightmare. A gas giant's moon, covered in a toxic storm of methane and ammonia. Superman doesn't breathe like we do, but even his Kryptonian lungs weren't designed for poisons like this. The storms slash with lightning that could tear through skyscrapers. The winds scream so fast they can rip metal apart. In such chaos, Superman's body might survive. But what about his mind? Imagine endless storms battering him for years. No calm, no silence, no humanity. Even the Man of Steel has limits, not of body but of sanity. And then there are planets of crushing gravity. Worlds where mountains are pulled low, oceans flattened under the weight of their own mess. A human couldn't even lift their arm there. Superman could, yes, but each step would be war. His flight would become impossible. His bones, though Kryptonian strong, would feel like anchors. He could live, but survival would come at the cost of constant pain, every day dragging him toward collapse. But perhaps the greatest danger doesn't come from suns, gases, or gravity. It comes from magic. Because scattered across the stars are planets where physics itself is broken, where reality bends to sorcery. And Superman, for all his power, is weak against magic. On such a world, a child with a spell could bring him to his knees. Here, the Man of Steel is nothing more than clay in the hands of forces beyond science. And then there's the cruelest thought of all, a planet that feeds on energy. Worlds where the very soil drinks radiation. Imagine Superman landing there. His body, desperate to absorb sunlight, instead finds its power drained, ripped away faster than he can recover. On such a planet, his own lifeblood becomes food for the world itself. Every step he takes weakens him further. Every breath brings him closer to collapse. These are the worlds that break him. Places where Superman's legend becomes fragile, where the line between God and man thins to nothing. But here's the haunting question. If Superman can be broken, if his survival can fail, what keeps him going? It isn't his powers. It isn't his invulnerability. It's something else. Something far more human. And that's where we go next. To the truth of whether survival is about strength or about hope. Across alien skies, beneath strange suns, we've seen Superman pushed to the edge. We've watched him lose his strength under red light, stumble beneath crushing gravity, and even face worlds where magic itself tears him down. By now, one truth is clear. Superman's body may be nearly indestructible, but survival is never guaranteed. So the question becomes, if his powers can vanish, if his body can fail, what keeps him alive? The answer lies not in Krypton, not in alien suns, not in science. The answer lies in Clark Kent. Because when Superman steps onto a world that wants to break him, he does not survive by power. He survives by will. Think of the boy from Smallville, raised by Jonathan and Martha Kent, taught that strength isn't about lifting tractors. It's about lifting spirits. Survival, for Clark, is tied to the idea of hope. No matter how harsh the world, no matter how alien the sky, he remembers who he is. And that memory is a fire no world can snuff out. On a world of storms, he endures by patience. On a world of hunger, he endures by restraint. On a world of despair, he endures by remembering Earth, by remembering Lois, his parents, his friends, and the countless people who look to the skies believing in him. And here's the paradox. Superman's true survival doesn't come from his Kryptonian cells. It comes from his human heart. It's the same heart that makes him kneel beside a stranger in need. The same heart that whispers, "Stand up," even when his powers are stripped away. It's the reason why, on the darkest worlds, Superman still shines brighter than the stars above him. So, Can Superman survive on other alien planets? The scientific answer is complicated. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Some planets would empower him beyond measure, while others would crush him into dust. But the deeper answer, the one that defines who he is far more certain. Superman survives because he refuses to give in. Even if his strength fades, even if his body weakens, even if the universe itself turns against him, Superman endures. Not because he is the man of steel, but because he is the man who never stops believing. And that is why he is not just a hero for Earth. He is a hero for every world. Because survival, in the end, is not about power. It is about hope. And Superman? Superman is hope made flesh. So the next time you look at the stars, ask yourself this. If Superman were out there right now, drifting across the galaxy, stripped of everything, tested by worlds beyond our imagination, would he survive? The answer is not found in suns, gravity, or air. The answer is found in you. Because as long as someone believes in him, Superman will rise. And that is why no world can truly break him.